Roger, got it. Okay, good morning, Houston Independent School District, and welcome to the College, Career, and Military Readiness Month. My name is Command Sergeant Major Brian Briggs. I am the Senior Enlisted Advisor and Program Administrator for the Houston Independent School District ROTC program. Today's theme is Service plus Academics equals Success, ROTC at the college level. Okay. Virtual housekeeping, okay, for the presenters. Mics will remain muted during the program. Use the chat box if you'd like to send any messages. That's for the students and or presenters. If your background is not clear of the objects, please turn off your camera. And a recording of this session will be posted on the CCMR month website, HoustonISD.org. All right. What we're going to be covering today. Right now, we got two presenters from Sam Houston State, Mr. Dare, Lieutenant Canosa, Rice University, Navy ROTC. Okay, I'm going to start off with Navy ROTC. And again, just a reminder, if you're not presenting, go ahead and turn off your video and your mute yourself out, please. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Briggs, thank you. I'm not the Navy recruiter or the Navy ROTC rep. I'm the Army ROTC rep. And I'm Mr. Durr. I'm with Sam Houston State University. And I've been the recruiter there for nearly 15 years. Next slide, please. So what is the Reserve Officer Training Corps? ROTC was established, signed into law by President Wilson over 100 years ago. It is designed to prepare college students for service as commissioned officers in the Army. Army ROTC is available at over 270 host colleges and universities, as well as about another 700 partnership schools, colleges that are tied to those host universities. Another thing about Army ROTC is that when it comes to commissioning and becoming an Army officer, nearly every professional field or career path that is available to you as a civilian is available through service in the Army. Next slide. So the program is divided into two parts, the basic course and the advanced course. And in the basic course, we're just teaching general leadership studies. We'll give you blocks of instruction on time management, on goal setting, on group dynamics, oral communications. Plus, we're going to add in some very individual military skills like first aid, marksmanship, simple things like how do you do a low crawl? We're going to teach you how to do those kind of things. In the advanced course, we use small unit infantry operations to train our cadets. We use it to develop them. We use it to let them practice their leadership skills. And it also gives us a platform to help evaluate them in their development in leadership. Next slide. Army ROTC, the United States Army Cadet Command, also has the largest merit-based scholarship program in the United States. Cadet Command puts in over $330 million a year to scholarships for incoming freshmen and students who are already on campus. You can look through the slide. It gives you those general qualifications to be able to request an Army ROTC scholarship. For instance, like it says, a GPA of at least a 2.5. That's the minimum score you need to start an application. A 2.5 GPA will not get you an Army ROTC scholarship from the National Selection Board. You need to think a lot higher. To be competitive, you're going to need about a 3.5 or so GPA. We want you to be involved in competitive athletics. That always helps your application. And obviously leadership, since that's our primary teaching platform on the campus. We do believe that leadership can be taught. In the application process for the ROTC scholarships, they're looking for the three legs of a stool, I guess I'll say. They're looking for your scholastic ability. They're looking for your athletic ability and participation. And they're looking for your leadership abilities and your current leadership roles. That's what they're looking for, to see if you're a well-rounded student in preparation for becoming a cadet in an ROTC program. The next slide, please. So if you think you want to pursue an Army ROTC scholarship program, this chart here shows you what the Army ROTC scholarship will cover for you. I'll say that the scholarship process, it is very competitive. There's usually 12 or so thousand people apply every year. The national board only selects about 1,000 people for 4-year scholarships, and they also offer about another 1,000 3-year offers from the National Selection Board. Now, the good part is that if you are not selected by the National Selection Board, you can still come to campus, whether that's Sam Houston State or another Army ROTC program, and you can compete on campus for the scholarship opportunities that are available there under what we call a campus-based scholarship. The campus-based scholarships provide the same coverage for tuition and fees that the national scholarship offer does. So there's no change there for that. The criteria is exactly the same. I know it's been short, but I wanted to make sure I hit the highlights of what you as a high school student would be interested in on how do you get the Army if you want to pursue a commission as an Army officer, how the Army can help you pay for your college education. My contact information is listed right here, along with my professor of military science. Unfortunately, he was going to be here today, but he's actually briefing our brigade commander on each of the cadets here on campus. So he's got a pretty big task ahead of him right now. So if you have questions, please contact me. I will be glad to help you. Whether you want to come to Sam Houston State or not, I will direct you to the right people at the campus that you want to go to. Well, good luck to you, and hopefully we will see some of you in the Bearcat Battalion at Sam Houston State. Have a good day.
Thank you, Mr. Deere. Now your next presenter will be from the United States Navy ROTC at Rice University, Lieutenant Emily Canoza.
All right, good morning. So I'll go ahead and start by giving you just a brief background about myself. I am a surface warfare officer, and I specialize in nuclear programs. We can go to the next slide. So I did my last tour operating the nuclear propulsion plant on an aircraft carrier, and that's kind of what I'm here for. The reason that I want to talk to you about my background really quick is that I'm a product of the ROTC program. So I went to Virginia Tech, which is a senior military college. I was in a Corps of Cadets. I wore a uniform every day, and I did my training through Navy ROTC. And that's how I gained my commission. So not only am I here now as an instructor, a naval science instructor at Rice University, which we'll talk about a little bit more, but I came from the ROTC program, and I think that it is a phenomenal program. And we'll just go ahead and move into why. So what's in your future? Job, college, or work? If that's kind of the way you're leaning, if you are thinking that you want to go enlist, I know that you've had a couple of lectures in this series. That is a phenomenal option. If you want to go straight to work, more power to you, absolutely. If you're thinking that college and the military are both potentially in your future, then ROTC is a wonderful, wonderful program. So next slide. So the question comes for how do you plan to pay for college? You may want to take out loans. You may have savings available to you. You may not have any money available at all. And that's where the National Scholarship Program comes in. See the next slide. So the ROTC National Scholarship Program for the Navy will send you, much like the Army ROTC, you'll go to school full-time at a university, and you're going to do some training while you're there. You're going to take naval science courses. You will be trained and educated to prepare you to be a naval officer and prepare you to lead sailors and Marines. And that starts by, well, we'll talk about the application process, but you're going to have kind of an umbrella. So Navy ROTC is not just for commissioning people into the Navy. You could also be a Marine Corps officer coming out of a Navy ROTC program. So we cover both the Navy and Marine Corps options. So next slide. So we have national scholarships that you can earn your senior year of high school when you're applying for college. You can earn them either for a Navy option scholarship or a Marine option scholarship. And then we have some special scholarships for minority serving institutions, which is a really great program. They have slightly different requirements, and we'll talk about that as we move on as well. So next slide. The NROTC scholarship. What this is going to do if you're selected will provide full tuition and academic fees. You'll receive a book stipend, you'll receive your uniforms, and you'll receive a monthly stipend. It has right here that your monthly stipend is $250 a month. That's starting your freshman year. So each year, you're going to see that stipend go up until your senior year, you receive $400 a month. You will go on summer cruise. Every summer that you are a scholarship recipient, you will go on a cruise. So beginning the summer between your freshman and sophomore year, you'll do what we call Quartermid. That is essentially what I like to call Navy summer camp. It's not that nice necessarily, but it is a very guided, very structured opportunity to go learn about the Navy and be exposed to the fleet. And you also have a Marine week of exposure. So you'll go from a surface week where you're on surface ships to a week where you go on submarines to a week where you are at aviation squadrons. You'll see some aircraft and get a chance to fly. And then you will go to Marine Week where you'll be exposed to some Marine Corps training either at Camp Pendleton or Camp Luzerne, and that would be the whole of your very first summer training experience. And the point of that is to just get you exposed to every community that we have to offer and make sure that the Navy really is a community where you see yourself fitting and you have better exposure and leadership potential in the future. After that, you have a lot of say in what community you want to do your cruises on. So you can request between your sophomore and junior year and between your junior and senior year. Those summers you get to request what kind of a cruise you want to go on. So if you want to go to an aviation squadron and you really think you want to be a pilot, then we'll send you there to do your summer training. So that way you're being exposed to the community that you're potentially going to serve in. All right, next slide. So this slide right here and the next few are just going to give you an overview of our program. We have 77 Navy ROTC units and they're across 166 universities. They are both at private and public institutions, all the senior military colleges, some religious institutions. So if you have any curiosity, there's probably a program out there for you or a Navy ROTC program at a college that you are interested in. We can go to the next slide. And these next two slides are just going to be a list of our host schools. So what you'll see on here is that we have Rice University is on there. And Rice is, of course, here in Houston. You also see Prairie View A&M University. Prairie View A&M is our official minority serving institution for the Houston ROTC unit. So if you are awarded an MSISR scholarship, then you could use that scholarship to go to Prairie View A&M. The only thing to note is that if you apply for an MSISR scholarship and you are awarded one, you have to use it at an MSISR school. So Prairie View A&M would be a school where you can use it. We also are affiliated with Texas Southern University and the University of Houston. So if those are schools that you're interested in, you could do that as well. And Texas Southern University is an MSISR school. So you would be able to use your MSISR scholarship there as well, if that was something that you were awarded. So we can go through the next school. Again, just more universities. If you see any school on here that you're interested in, that would be available to you with a national scholarship. Next slide. So this slide gives you just an overall breakdown to give you an idea of what a typical average applicant looks like. So I would like to remind you, this is the average. If you are above or below this, that's fine. That's how we get averages. So on average, our applicants who were awarded scholarships received a 1358 on their SATs with a 682 math and a 676 verbal. We do award mostly technical majors. The Navy really likes technical majors. So there is theoretically a slightly higher chance that you'll receive a scholarship if you intend to major in something technical. But if you don't want to be a technical major, I certainly don't recommend that you do that if you would be higher performing at something else. All Navy applicants will take calculus and physics during their time in ROTC. Okay, and then we can move on to the next one. So this is our specific criteria for the national scholarship. So you do need to have 1110 combined, and if you do not take the SAT, you can take the ACT, in which case you would need to have a 44 combined. So these are your minimum required scores. We don't have a minimum GPA, but of course, if you want to earn a national scholarship, you need to be competitive. So the higher the GPA, the better. The other things that we'll look for on applicants are just being well-rounded, having leadership experience. So if you're leading any clubs or if you're the captain of a sports team, things like that always reflect well on applications. And then just being an overall well-rounded student. So if you have clubs that you're in, if you do well academically, if you play sports, just covering your bases to be a well-rounded student is always going to be beneficial when you're applying for any program, including our Navy national scholarships. And then the next slide talks specifically about that MSISR scholarship that I was talking about, Minority Serving Institution Scholarship Reservation. So we basically have a different pot of money that we reserve for Minority Serving Institution scholarships, in which case your criteria is slightly different. But like I said, these can only be used at the 21 specific schools that are MSISR institutions. Again, Prairie View A&M and Texas Southern University are both schools that you can use these at. So only a few things change about the application process if you want to do an MSISR scholarship. So you would have to interview with our commanding officer if that was something you wanted to do, instead of being able to do your officer interview with somebody who's more junior. And then you would just have to check a box when you're completing the application. Aside from that, the requirements are pretty much the same. The process is pretty much the same, but when you start working with a recruiter to complete your application process, they will help you through that. Additionally, you can reach out to myself or Lieutenant Winters, my counterpart at Rice ROTC, and we'll be able to help you as well. So this shows you your list of MSISR schools. Right, Texas Southern is on that list, Prairie View A&M is on that list, so we are lucky to have 2 of those schools available to us in this unit. So let's move to the next slide. This just shows you a basic, these are the things that we don't cover. So I said that we pay for your full tuition, we'll give you a book stipend, we provide your uniforms. And then depending on what school you're enrolled at, there are possibilities of having room and board scholarships on the basis of being enrolled in a military program. Things that are not covered is room and board. So that would depend on your university. Your university may have a program that provides room and board scholarships. They may not. You will not get year-round pay. So you'll get your monthly stipend while you're in school, and you'll be paid while you are on summer cruise, but you will not receive pay for the times in between. No pay over winter break, no pay over summer break while you're on the beach. You will not have health care provided. You are covered by TRICARE when you are on cruise in an active duty status, but when you go back home, then you're back home and you are required to provide your own health care. And then we don't provide your personal things, right? We're not going to buy your clothes. We're not going to pay for your haircuts or your computer, things like that. But we will provide you with the basic needs and a stipend in order to cover the rest of those things. Next slide. So this slide right here shows your timeline for applications. So if you're interested in applying for Navy ROTC National Scholarship, that application process is going to open April of your junior year. So April of your junior year is when you can start, and I definitely recommend starting early. You'll have to fill out the application. You'll have to get some letters of recommendation. You'll do an officer interview. You'll do a physical fitness test. And then there will be a few other little things, I think, personal statement. And then we start doing scholarship boards sometime in, I think, October of your senior year, October or November. So we're actually coming up on our first board, and that's when they evaluate whether or not you'll be awarded a scholarship. And what we do is we roll your application automatically to the next board if you weren't awarded a scholarship at the first one. So get your scholarship application in early, and that means that your application will be reviewed at the maximum number of boards possible. And then by May, all applicants will be notified of their decision. So May of your senior year, you'll know whether or not you received a scholarship. Next slide. So this page right here just shows you some more information where you can go to access the application, things like that. So that slide is really for your information. I'm not sure if you'll be provided a copy of this PowerPoint. Next slide. So we do have some advice for applicants. You can go again to nrotc.navy.mil to see that, but be thorough and be complete in your application. Project your activities for senior year. So if you're applying early, you can still annotate what you plan on doing, things like that. And be well-rounded. You want to detail activities that aren't listed on your application. So when you get into any free response area, that's your chance to expand on yourself. And don't wait for a selection decision to apply to 5 colleges. We're going to require you to list 5 schools that you want to go to on your application. Apply to all 5 of those choices and try to be realistic with those choices. When I applied for my ROTC scholarship, I had 1 or 2 dream schools that I put on that list because that's where I really wanted to go. And then I made sure I had some safety schools on that list as well. And the things the board considers: your character, leadership, athletics, academics, and a sense of service. So if you have volunteer hours, things like that, those are great things to talk about because service is ultimately what we're all here for. All right, next slide. So again, this slide's there for your information. If you will be receiving a copy of this brief, then you're welcome to use that contact information. And then lastly, next slide. I'd like to just talk about what your experience is going to be like while you're here. So this whole brief is kind of geared towards how do you apply, why should you apply, things like that. Once you get here and you're enrolled as a student, we'll have you completing physical training every week. Initially, we have that 3 times a week, but as long as you pass your PT test at the end of your first semester, that'll drop down to 1 time a week. We're always going to be doing leadership development. That's the goal. This program is meant to develop you to lead sailors and Marines and ultimately commission as an officer, and officers are expected to be leaders. We will do a structured lab once per week, so that's also focused on leadership development. But like I said, it's going to be happening all the time. You're going to get leadership opportunities, you're going to have responsibility, things like that. You'll take naval science courses. So on the Navy side, you have 8 classes that you're required to take, and those will integrate into your regular class schedule. For the Marines, they do a couple of things differently. They don't take my weapons or engineering class. They take maneuvering warfare and another warfare class. So I believe they have 6 courses that they're required to take. And you'll receive hands-on advising from an active duty staff member. So I'm a junior senior advisor. My counterpart is a freshman sophomore advisor. And then I have 2 other counterparts at Prairie View A&M University. So the students at Prairie View also have staff members with them every day that are working with them and making sure they're on track and developing and getting ready for commissioning. And ultimately, this is going to give you a career prospect for after college. any branch that you want to apply to is going to give you a great career prospect for after college, but there is a huge safety in knowing when I was approaching college graduation that I was going to commission, I was going to go out, I was going to lead people, I was going to get my division, be on a ship and serve my country. And a lot of your friends won't have that security as they are approaching college graduation. So now when I enter the civilian world, I'll have a minimum of 8 years of service if that is what I choose to do when I get out. I did put in the bottom of this, I didn't include a contact slide, but if you go to RICE, NROTC, our webpage is nrotc.rice.edu. And we have all of our contact information, so you can reach out to me if you have any questions. My phone number and my email address are on there. You can also follow us on Instagram. Our Midshipman Public Affairs Officer keeps our Instagram pretty active, and she will happily talk to you. So if you reach out to us on Instagram at Rice NROTC, you will have another college student. She's 19 years old, but somebody who is much closer to your peer if you're more comfortable asking those questions, curious about what the program is like, things like that. That's a great resource as well. So Rice NROTC on Instagram, or go to the nrotc.rice.edu webpage and you can find my contact information. The last thing that I want to leave you with is we run the ROTC program for the Navy to produce unrestricted line officers. What that means is that you're going to go to a community that is ready to deploy. You'll be on surface ships, submarines, aircraft, or you'll be in the EOD or SEAL community. There is more opportunity coming up for some intelligence officers to come out of ROTC, but the Navy's primary goal from ROTC is to fill those unrestricted line communities. So we do have less career options than some of the other branches when you come out of this program. If you want to go into something different, maybe public affairs, maybe medical corps, things like that, then we have other programs for those. So you should absolutely peruse the Navy's page online. You can look into NUPOC, which is for nuclear programs. You can look into OCS. You can look into some of the benefits if you wanted to go into the medical community. And if you want to do Navy ROTC and you don't pick up a scholarship, you can still come contact us, enroll in our program as a college program student, and we will submit you for a scholarship every single year. And so we would love to have you, even if you are looking for, or if you're not awarded a national scholarship, you can still be a full-time participant in our program. And it's basically like every year is an interview to be a Navy ROTC student. So with that, let me know if you have any questions. Otherwise, I would love to hear from you.
Thank you, Lieutenant Canosa. Good job. Our next presenter is representing the Houston Strategic Officer Recruiting Detachment, better known as Project Sword. His name is Captain Servin, and without further ado.
Hey, good morning, everyone. Apologize for the late arrival here. I had a little bit of computer issues here. Put the screen up real quick. You guys pull up my, there it is. All right, so like Sergeant Major Briggs said, I'm Captain Servin. I work for the Strategic Officer Recruiting Detachment. We are a part of U.S. Army Cadet Command's headquarters, and our mission here in Houston is to essentially promote the Army ROTC program throughout 20 counties that we directly oversee, and assist students within the area with their scholarship applications for both the National Scholarship as well as our very own Strategic Officer Recruit Detachment ROTC scholarship that we were recently approved by the Commanding General for this school year. Here on your on the picture that you currently see, we have a few of our scholarship winners from the class of 2022. Overall, we had 10 students win SWORD ROTC scholarships to various schools. A lot of them went to Texas A&M, but we did have a few that went out of state. You know, for example, University of North Carolina and such. On there on the left side of the screen, you see my boss, Lieutenant Colonel Escalin. She's our chief here at the Houston SWORD. And to the right, we see Colonel Ruth, who is our Director of Operations for Task Force Sword. Next slide. All right, so essentially, I don't know how familiar you all are with the ROTC program at the college level, but here's some quick facts on here. So the bottom line is ROTC is a program designed to train and commission Army officers. So I myself, I went through ROTC. I graduated from San Diego State University back in 2013. So been in the Army for a little over 9 years now, so I know a little bit about the program. Essentially, the way we focus on training and commissioning Army officers is through providing leadership and management training throughout what we consider a traditional 4-year program. While the students are conducting ROTC, they will be taking their traditional academic classes, which are going to be dependent on what their academic majors are. So Army ROTC is not really going to restrict us to the type of majors the students decide to pursue. The only stipulation is that the university must offer the major. So if they want to pursue criminal justice, biology, or general studies, then it's something that they're going to be able to do. Once they complete all milestones throughout their 4 years within the program, then the students will commission as second lieutenants in either the active duty component or the reserve or National Guard. Slide. So this is what our scholarship offers. So we offer full tuition and fees to any of the 1,200 universities that have an Army ROTC affiliation, or up to $10,000 for room and board. There are universities out there such as Texas A&M that do offer additional incentives if your students apply with an ROTC scholarship. So I know this recently Texas A&M enacted their Patriot Scholarship, which covers room and board for students who have an ROTC scholarship. In addition to this, they receive $600 per semester for books and supplies, and they'll receive a $420 monthly allowance for the duration of the scholarship. Slide. All right, here are the basic requirements for an application for an ROTC scholarship. One of the things on here that Houston Sword can help your students with is setting up an interview with professors of military science, both locally and as well as if they decide to go out of state. And so another thing that we're able to do is my chief, Lieutenant Colonel Escalon, is also able to conduct the interview in order to facilitate that process for your students. With regards to the personal statements as well, we will review those statements to make sure that that everything is good to go on there. And we will actually help them with the entire application process. So if your students are interested in applying for a national scholarship, you put them in contact with us. We'll walk them step by step through the entire process, really to make sure that they get the best chance of winning that scholarship. All right. And this is essentially what a scholarship winner's profile looked like for the class of 2022. And we took this pretty much the average from the Houston area students that won either national scholarships or SWORD ROTC scholarships. So as you can see on there, it's fairly competitive. We look at the scholar athlete leader aspect. So that 3.8 GPA, that's out of an unweighted GPA. I know a lot of schools here in Texas use the weighted GPA rubric. So when we do look at their GPAs, we talk to the counselors to make sure that we get the GPA that Cadet Command is looking for. Under the athlete aspects, a lot of these students had multiple either varsity letters or junior varsity, or they played or participated in sports outside of school, such as martial arts, which is what a lot of our scholarship winners had this past year. Under the leadership aspect, students participated not only participated in clubs and organizations outside of of the traditional JROTC or National Honor Societies, but they held leadership positions such as in organizations such as student government or cheerleading squad, band, or really any organizations that they were a part of. And so most of our winners, as you can see, they meet that whole person criteria with the scholar athlete leader aspect. Here we just have a few universities that have the Army ROTC program. I know here within the Texas region, most of our well-known universities have an Army ROTC. Here immediately within the Houston area, the University of Houston has the parent ROTC program. However, they do conduct military science training with other universities around. So UH Clear Lake, UH Downtown, Houston Baptist University, St. Thomas, you know, even Rice University. But U of H is not the only program out there that has these satellite agreements. So there's universities all across the United States where the main program is located at a university, and you know, smaller universities around the area are feeder schools. So if your students are interested in going to universities that do not have a parent ROTC, contact us and we'll let them know what the what that satellite program looks like. Some of the aspects that we offer. So as a SWORD, we'll go down to your schools, conduct presentations. We'll help students with not only the national ROTC scholarship, but our scholarship as well. And we'll conduct presentations not only to the students, but to the parents, the counselors, teachers, really anybody who's interested in gaining more knowledge on the Army ROTC program as a whole. All right, here we just have a few other pictures of our area for some of the students that won. Specifically for HISD, we had a student from Stephen F. Austin High School win a 4-year scholarship to Stephen F. Austin University. So she's currently there. She just contracted as a cadet a few weeks ago, and so she's doing pretty good. This year we hope to have at least 10 Army ROTC scholarship winners come from HISD. And so I know with your help, we're definitely going to be able to meet that goal. All right, a few more pictures on here. Slide, please. All right, so here we have our contact information. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to any of us. Excuse me, I'm going to be heading out of the seat here in a few months. But you know, if you contact me, I'll make sure I put you in contact with one of the other captains that are still going to be here, or one of our civilians, to make sure that you get the assistance that you need. All right, this time, does anybody have any questions?
Nice, Captain Servant. Thank you. And thank you for all the presenters that donated their time and participated in our webinar. Okay, students, be sure to check for today's seminar using the bit.ly address or QR code. Let me get on that so that you can do that first. All right, you can see that there. Again, look at the bit.ly address or the QR code. And if any of your friends or peers missed the presentation, inform them of the session being recorded and posted on the CCMR website. This concludes our presentation, and I appreciate everyone participating, and I hope, you know, if you have any questions and you're interested, please either contact myself or any of the presenters, or if you don't remember their information, you still can contact me and I can get that information to the presenters myself. Thank you. Maddie?
On the right hand side, I'll put this down.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone, for joining.